I chose to do a podcast because I wasn't comfortable with my face being on YouTube. But, anyways, I just finished up the Haiti simulation online. The first role I chose to complete was the survivor, and then I did the journalist, and then I did the aid worker. All three of the roles overlapped in this simulation. Basically, the journalist needed to get a good story out. If the journalist was able to produce a good enough story, this would alert people in other countries of the need for water, food, and supplies. And then in return, this could lead to people sending in supplies to Haiti. In the journalist role for the simulation, I personally chose not to intervene and help, only because I wanted to follow the role as a strict journalist. My instinct would have been to intervene and help, but for the sake of the simulation, I wanted to follow the role of a strict journalist. The aid worker played a major role in finding resources for these people. The video had mentioned that the simulation mentioned that there were 1 million people who were homeless and without food, water, and medical attention. So the aid workers played a major role in that aspect. And then the survivors helped out by helping the aid workers provide care. They kind of all helped each other out and took care of each other, which I thought was really nice. And the survivors, of course, benefited from what the aid worker and the journalist both did. And this is kind of how all three of the roles worked together. And it was definitely eye-opening, seeing how each person interacted and played a role in the Haiti earthquake. So how are they different? Well, the three roles are all different in their own different unique ways. I did the survival role first, and the survivors had to basically fend for themselves. They had to go get help. They had to find their own treatment. Whereas the journalist was just there to get a story. The journalist was completely fine. They did not experience it themselves. So the journalist was not there to help. Their main goal was writing the story. And then the aid worker was there to try and help everyone, get them supplies. So they all did have different roles. The survivor, the journalist, and the worker all had their own priorities. So, of course, the survivor's main priority was surviving. But in order to do this, obviously you need food, water, shelter. So that was their goal. The journalist's main priority was getting a good story, and then the aid worker's priority was helping others. So if you put all of those three priorities together, it was surviving, helping others, and getting a good story. I thought the simulation was an eye-opening experience. It was really cool to do. I liked the fact that we were able to make our own choices during the simulation. I went back into the simulation experience a few times just so I could choose different choices and then see where it led me. I was also surprised by how positive the survivors remained. In one scene, they were all sitting in a camp singing together. Many of them were chanting, "Respect God, respect God." So I thought it was interesting to see how positive they remained, because I don't know if I personally would have remained that positive in that situation. And then the course learning objective that I met would be learning outcome number 4, which is apply critical thinking to analyze data and the implementation and promotion of positive health-related behaviors for culturally diverse clients. I chose this because I had to critically think as I was going through the simulation roles on what should be done next. For example, if the journalist should continue their story or intervene and help people out. So overall, I thought it was a really good experience doing the simulation, and it was definitely eye-opening.